Hello and welcome to the Transcend and Succeed podcast, a unique platform dedicated to the exploration of taboo topics that often go unspoken in the realms of spiritual development and personal experience. I'm your host, Dawn Livingston, and I want to provide you with knowledge to help you change your perception and open your mind to new possibilities and new opportunities for spiritual expansion, personal growth, and profound transformation. In a world where certain subjects are often shrouded in silence, I believe in fostering candid and open discussions about the uncharted territories of our inner worlds. My guests will have had extraordinary experiences and will share their insights and journeys, inviting you to embrace the unexplored aspects of your own existence, both physical and non-physical. Join us on this illuminating and enlightening journey as we challenge taboos and empower you to transcend limitations and truly succeed in your spiritual and personal evolution. Welcome to the Transcend and Succeed podcast. Hi there, my name is Dawn Livingston and I'm the host of the Transcend and Succeed podcast. Now, in this series, we are going to be discussing life and how our experiences are created. Today, we're going to talk about universal energy, a bit about how energy healers are viewed, and also about imbalances which cause physical ailments and why it's so important to be treated holistically and not just by treating the symptoms. So today I want to talk to you about a very good friend of mine. This is Patricia Kennedy. She lives over in sunny Florida. Her and I have been friends for many years, and we can talk for hours and hours about many, many different subjects, can't we, Patricia? It's quite common that we are on the phone for like 3 hours. So welcome, sweetheart.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're
So
so
nice to
welcome.
be with you.
So we are going to help provide information to dispel myths, help people become more aware of many things to help them change their perceptions, which will allow them to make better informed decisions based on our life experience. So this is all about what we've experienced. So let's get started. Let's talk about universal energy, which is often referred to as life force or cosmic energy. It's a concept deeply rooted, I suppose, in various ancient and spiritual traditions. And it
Mhm.
posits that there is an underlying interconnected energy that permeates the entire universe, including every living being and every inanimate object. And the energy is believed to be the foundation of existence, responsible for the ebb and the flow of life itself, right? So we know that universal energy is vibrational in nature. It's all frequency, and we know that everything in the universe, including thoughts, words, actions, emotions, and of course physical components, emits a unique vibrational frequency. And those frequencies are creating and influencing the experiences and events in our lives. And it's not something we can see, but it is all around us. But just because we can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, right, Patricia?
Right.
Yeah,
That's the challenge, I think, for people is the unseen. How do you prove it?
yeah.
How do you know it's really
Well,
what we
exactly,
say it is?
exactly. And Dr. Bruce Lipton, yeah, does amazing work and explains it all very well in his book. I'm reading The Biology of Belief. And he talks about the missing link between life and consciousness and how we are all so powerful, but we just don't even know it. And he writes that through scientific research combined with spirituality, scientists are now shifting their understanding of creation. And that even though we can't see, smell, touch, taste, or hear anything, doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It's just that it exists below or above our physical sensory range. And he debunks the scientific understanding that our genes are our masters and we are a slave to our genes. Now, I know that you and me don't believe this at all, given what we know and what we've experienced and because of the work that we do, but the vast majority of people do. And Bruce Lipton threw out a new concept a while back that yes, our genes have influence. However, he discovered that our genes can be changed by their environment. He calls it epigenetics. And with environment meaning thoughts, perceptions, stress, even our beliefs. So he's big on changing your thoughts to influence your genetic potential, I suppose, so that you're no longer a victim of your genes. What would you say to that?
Oh, I would say 100% agreement with that, because your perception forms your reality in a lot of
Mm,
ways, So if you're having a thought about something, you're going to experience the bounce back of that
yeah.
thought, you know? And yeah, it's powerful. When Bruce Lipton came out with that, was very, very profound. This, to me, the life force that you were talking about enlivens everything.
Yes.
So it is what provides it the ability to be alive, to animate it. And those are the words that I use in my work because it helps people understand. And the signatures of those vibrations and frequencies get enlivened and then play out. So I experience that all the time in the work that I do. And I observe that in others.
Mm,
Don't you, Dawn?
yes, all the time. But do you know what else is or outside the range of our physical senses, and that's actually energy healing. Yeah, and you and me
Yes.
both know this. It's not something you can see. It works on vibration too, and energy healers are unfortunately labeled as woo-woo or crazy because they work with something that you can't see. And despite the profound philosophical and spiritual roots of the concept of universal energy and vibrational frequencies, and in my opinion, the skepticism often stems from a lack of evidence that science has been unable to produce, and the esoteric nature of energy healing practices. And I feel that, and this is my opinion, I feel that the mainstream or modern medicine and science have not yet fully embraced the concepts, which contribute to the perception of energy healing as, I suppose you could call it, unorthodox. So it's flung in a box and a crazy label is slapped on it. But I really
Mhm.
feel there's a shift coming, and I think you might feel that too.
Definitely, I think we're becoming more and more aware of what has been hidden from us. So, when you have an appliance that runs on electricity, you take that plug and you plug it into the outlet, correct? You can't see the electricity flowing through your appliance, but you see the results of that electricity flowing into the appliance because the appliance then functions, it operates, it works.
Yeah.
You can't see the wind either, but you can feel the wind and you can see the results of the wind. So these are two examples of the unseen. If you can experience it, then you can validate it and know it's true, correct? But if you
Yes.
can't experience it, then it stays sort of off and away from your awareness.
Yeah.
And those are two really good examples. We turn on our radio and the radio waves, the sound waves come into our ears. Right now we're hearing sound in our podcast. And the listeners will hear us speak. They can't see those waves coming into their ears so they can hear the words. Same thing with instruments. We it has been proven that even though a bell is rung and the human ear stops hearing it, that it continues to reverberate because animals like dogs can hear whistles that our human ears can't hear.
Yeah. It's above our
So
range, isn't it?
that
Above the audible range. Mhm.
yes. So there is evidence that this is true. There's lots of different examples. We could go on spreading them all. Cymatics is a wonderful one because it's a plate that vibrates and the rice or the sand moves into different, images, patterns. So I really think that the reason why they've looked at energy healers as woo woo is exactly what you said. There's a lack of understanding. And if you haven't had an experience with it, you won't know. It's like, how do you know what vanilla tastes like unless you taste vanilla?
Unless you try it, yeah. Mhm.
So maybe as we move forward, people will be more open to the possibility, which will open the door for them to try things and have experiences. Because once you experience something, you know it. You
Yeah.
no longer believe it. It's a part of your knowing. And nobody can take that from you because
Can't go
it's
back.
your experience.
Yeah.
Right. So, I think that the energy healers are working with that unseen field, and they just have this ability to be able to tap into that unseen field and either move it or modify it or change it, because we know that energy can't be destroyed, it can only be changed,
Changed.
you know? So they change it from one form into another form, just like water can become vapor, ice, um, so it can be liquid, solid, gas. I mean, it can change forms, but it's still water
Yes,
in all
depending
of
on
its
its environment,
forms.
right? Hmm.
Yes.
Hmm.
So I love that as an example to help people understand how energy can change. You can't get rid of the water. There's the same amount of water on planet Earth that there's been since the beginning. It just changes form
Yeah.
and moves to different places.
That's
But
interesting. I've never thought about it like that. Well put.
yeah, so we think that we run out of water. No, it
Yeah.
just changes form. It's the same amount of
Still
water.
there. Still there.
Yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah. So energy isn't so scary once to quote Dr. Dispenza, to make the unfamiliar familiar.
Familiar, yes. Hmm.
Once you learn about it and you gain somewhat of a familiarity with it, it's less intimidating, less threatening, maybe less scary.
Hmm.
Anyone who says that energy healers are woo woo, witches, whatever they might want to say, it's because they just don't understand. They
Yeah.
don't
And
understand what's going on.
and people tend to attack things that they don't understand, unfortunately. I mean, I've been on the brunt end of, quite a few times, totally woo-woo and totally crazy. But they're not in my shoes, they've not understood what I've experienced, so they really it's just a judgment, unfortunately. And now it doesn't affect me at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
And going back to your point about Dr. Joe Dispenza, and I know the two, we just love this man to bits. He's fabulous, and I think he's really expanded both of our understanding by so, so much. And I love what he talks about by, people are stuck in their past. They're stuck in the patterns of their past. And to get out of that, you have to become, I suppose, comfortable with being uncomfortable. So get out of the familiar to find the unfamiliar, um, and
Yeah.
let go of the known to go to the unknown and try and drop that fear as best you possibly can, because that's the only way you can leave the past behind, cut those ties with those vibrations that you're vibrating every single day that's creating the life that you have at this moment. And if you're not happy with the life that you're creating, you have to let that go. You have to drop that completely and start taking steps that may be uncomfortable for you, but it's the only way you're going to grow. It's the only way you're going to grow and expand, right?
Yes, I remember one time I received the inner knowing that you could work on the past for all of eternity. Because in every moment, that moment becomes a past moment.
Yeah.
So the only way to change that is to turn around, stop facing into the past, what you think is the past, and start looking to the future and start creating and moving forward. And that's exactly what you're talking about.
Mhm.
When you start to create, you can only be in the now moment. You
Yes.
can't be anywhere else because you have to have all of your attention on what you're doing, whether it's cooking a meal for dinner, or breakfast, or lunch, or whatever, or it's folding your laundry. You can be divided and be multitasking in your mind, but you have to be present with what you're doing.
Yeah.
And creating is way more fun than dealing with the past, you know? However, I
Well,
think that in some cases, people have past experiences, belief systems, or maybe traumas, past experiences that stand in front of them. They're a memory field in front of them, and they stop them from moving forward. So there are cases where it is important to remove the past or to put the past behind you or what have you in order to move forward. But yeah, it's way more fun moving forward and creating new things. Like this podcast is so much
Y-
fun,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's more about, creating consciously rather than allowing our habits and our subconscious mind run our lives, because that's what 95% of the time they're doing. And so we need to start being more consciously aware and consciously creating than allowing ourselves to sit back and be driven by our habits, which of course are created in our past and kept in our past, and we want to get rid of them. So that's really what you and I aim to do with this type of work, isn't it?
Yes, it is. You know, the unknown is not scary if you just kind of sit with it, you know? And meditation taught me how to be in that space of nothingness.
Mm.
When you go to Dr. Dispenza's events, what does he say? Become no thing, no one, nowhere, and no thing.
Mhm.
That's the thing that they say all the time.
There's another
You know,
two
you,
in there. I can't think what they are. I always get them in the wrong order and then it confuses me. No one, no place, nowhere, no thing, no something.
yeah,
Can't remember what the fifth one is. Yeah.
right. And there's a lot of truth to that because the unmanifest is that. You know, that place of nothingness, some people call the void. Well, I say it's like the art room. You walk into the art room and you have your paper and your pencils and your paints and your easel. You have all your supplies, but there's nothing that's been made in there. It's
Yeah.
all supplies and products for you to make something. You have
Yes.
to go
Point
in
of
there and
yes.
yes,
Just
you have to
point of
pull what you
creation, I was going to say. Yeah.
yes, exactly. And I use that idea so that people can go, oh, okay. It's not a scary place. It's a place of all potential possibilities. That's where you can go in there and work through things and see what will work and what won't work. And, you
Yeah.
know, but you have to actually make that unfamiliar, unknown more familiar so that you're not afraid of it. It's like the dark as a child. You have to get used to the dark in order to not be afraid of the dark,
Yeah.
but
Well,
who gives us that idea that there's something to be afraid of?
that's just what I was about to say. Let's talk about fear just briefly, because I teach my students that there is no such thing as fear other than that which we create. It's not something we're born with, it's something we're taught, it's something we learn. And if we've learned something, we can unlearn it. As long as
Yes.
we understand how it happens, we can change that. But if we're not aware that we can do that, then we're still going to be living in fear. Am I right?
Mhm. Yes. Have you ever heard the acronym fear is false energies appearing real? I
Yes,
love that
it is.
because
It's
it's
great.
like it's not a tiger that's about to charge you, which is an authentic threat. It's an imagined fear. It's
Yeah.
something that we're reacting to because we have some, like you said, learned behavior, or we've been taught that that's scary. It's like
Mhm.
the little kid toddles into the kitchen and tries to open up the knife door, and the mother comes running over. No, no, Johnny, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. And all of a sudden, they think knives are dangerous. They grew up to know what's in that drawer. Go, oh, it's dangerous. You know, but yeah, I mean, it's perceived in a way in which it creates a feedback in our reality. Our
Yeah.
reality responds to our thoughts, responds to our ideas, it responds to our subconscious mind programming, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, fear. There's real fear and then there's imagined fear is the other way of looking at that.
Yeah, fear of the unknown, and I think if people are very much worried about things that could go wrong, you know, if I do this, what happens if it goes wrong? And if they would change that, flip that way of thinking around and think, oh, what would happen if that goes right? What happens if this all works out? And get themselves all excited about it going right. They're more likely to create that success. But um where your focus goes, energy flows, right? According to Tony
Yes.
Robbins. So wherever you put your focus, that is what you're going to be creating. So if you create worry about failure, then you're more likely to create that failure. Yeah.
Absolutely. The idea of a painter, if the painter went in there every day thinking that their painting was not going to turn out, then they would be in fear the whole time they were making it, and it probably would not turn out. The painter paints and keeps painting, and then finally at one point stands back and goes, "Oh, it's a masterpiece." They don't know what it's going to be until all of a sudden they see it. And when they see it, then they know they've done it. So they're in creation mood and not really attached to the outcome because they're like in that possibility. They're in a potential possibility. In that act of creating something, you can't create, you don't want to create it as a failure. So when you make brownies, I don't know why brownies popped into mind, but if you're making brownies, do you mix all the flour and the eggs and the cocoa or the chocolate or whatever all together, figuring it's going to be a flop? No, you're salivating the whole time you're making it because you're like, oh, I can't wait to eat these.
And you can smell it,
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
So I think that if people were to take classes or be exposed to speakers like what we're doing here, that sort of dispelled that and said, just sit in a chair and see if you can go to no thoughts. And you're in that unknown. You're in that no mind, no one, no thing. And just do it for a few minutes and then come out and go, oh, look, that was easy. And then next day go in a little bit longer and come out and go, oh, that was easy. And every day you're going to be in it a little longer and a little longer and a little longer until you're able to sit with it and go, this is simple. Now what can I do in here?
Mm-hmm.
What can I do in this space? This space appears empty, but I bet it's not. And that's where the magic starts to happen is through the asking of the questions. It's the perfect place to be to start asking questions.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I found it took me ages to get there because my mind was just so chaotic all the time, and to get that calmness so that you could actually, focus and relax took me quite some time. So it's not something. Don't give up on it after the first 2 or 3 days if you can't get there successfully. Just it can take a while, and just if you commit yourself to doing it, you will get there, and you will get there faster than you would if you were sitting there thinking, "Oh my God, what am I going to make for dinner?" Oh, does that sounds like the mailman. That's the way my mind was going all the time. I was so distracted. So it takes time, and it takes a lot of courage, I suppose, to sit there and get to
Yes.
somewhere where you've never been, or you feel you've never been. We probably have been, you just don't know it. But it takes a good bit of time. Um, okay, let's move on to our last thing. We were going to talk about the human body and the importance of treating it holistically, including the mind, the emotions, the spirit body, and not just treating the physical symptoms. Because the human body really is intricate. It's a big tapestry of all these, weaving in all these different systems. But to truly achieve physical wellness, we've really got to recognize the importance of treating the body holistically. And by that, I mean not just treating the symptoms that the imbalances have created, but I mean getting to the root cause of what is actually causing these symptoms in the first place. We find the root cause, the symptoms automatically disappear without even treating the physical body. They just naturally disappear. And I talk to my students in my level 1 course about this. Think about the human body like a set of Russian dolls, the ones I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
Each one you open is a different body, whether it be a mental body, an emotional body, or any other kind of body. But the one in the center is solid, right? This represents the densest matter, which is the human body. And if you have imbalances in any of your other bodies, it manifests in the physical as a way of getting your attention to say, excuse me, something's not quite right here, take care of it, please. Everything manifests physically. And the ailments that we are experiencing are like the engine light coming on your car, right? It's like a warning system to tell you there's something that needs attended to. And if you don't attend to me, I could break down. Same thing in the body. The holistic approach encompasses not only physical health, but also the well-being of the mind, the emotions, and the spirit. Yeah, so when we address these aspects in unison, we unlock that potential for comprehensive healing and a richer and more fulfilling life. Would you agree?
I totally agree.
Mm.
I believe that everything's created from subtle to solid,
Yes.
which is saying the same thing you're saying. So it happens at the subtlest vibration on the spiritual realm. Who knows? Maybe through a creator. Who knows? But it comes down through the various bodies. They're all fields, if you will, until it goes into the physical. And I was told the spiritual is like the void. There's nothing really made. But then the mental realm is the realm of ideas, constructs, belief systems, structures, but it's still subtle. And then that has to move into the emotional realm, which is often called the womb of existence. So, like a womb that creates a baby, offspring, that the emotional body has to decide whether or not it resonates in alignment with it or totally in disalignment, totally not aligned with it. So it either accepts it like the egg and allows it to take its home inside itself. And then it starts to develop it. And then when it's ready to be birthed forward, it moves into the physical realm where that's the end of the line. So I will often say by the time it shows up on the physical realm, you have a lot of stuff in the subtle realm that's creating it. If you can catch it as a code or energy in those subtle realms and relieve it, change it, alter it, amend it, whatever word you want to use, release it is another word, transmute it, transmute and transform it, then it stops coming into the physical realm. So you don't not treat that physical body if it's got a condition, but you have to treat all that information and data that's coming in, and if you don't, it's going to keep coming in. And I was told you have to if you're in a river and there's a lot of trash in the river and you keep trying to just pull the trash out of the river, like the physical body has issues and you keep working on that physical body. I was told get out of the river, walk up and stop the person who's throwing the trash into the river and you'll be golden, And so it's that idea is it's a compilation of many layers of information that comes in and creates them. Good, bad, or indifferent. It takes all that information flowing through those other realms. So, when you can put it like that, it's like, oh, okay, so now I understand why so-called energy healing, subtle healing modalities are so important. It's sound, it's colors, it's aromatherapies, it's different frequencies and vibrations, and they're facilitators anyway. They're not like conjuring something in a cauldron. They're receiving the guidance from the higher divine realm as to what is needed. And then they respond as the facilitator. So I don't think people realize that. I think that the people think that it's originating in the person who's the so-called healer, rather than they're receiving the divine guidance to know what to do, So that shift alone can change people's perspectives,
Well, it's a bit like the engine light in your physical symptoms. If you've got a car with an engine light on, you don't know what that is. You plug in the diagnostic machine drills down and tells you exactly where the problem originated. Isn't that what energy healers do? We're diagnostic
Yes.
machines.
Yes. We are connected to the information that allows us to assist. We're here to assist and to facilitate. That's basically our role. And everybody can do this for themselves. They just have to form that connection within themselves. And people think that's hard, and it's really not that hard. It's very easy to do. We're already hardwired for it. It's not something you have to go somewhere to get. You have to get out of your own way so it can assist you and be available for you. But we all have all of those gifts. There's nothing secret about it. There's nothing even profound about it. It's actually part of our natural state. You know, God sent us, the creator sent us with all of these abilities. And the human body is such, you were talking about the human body. It was originally designed to be completely, totally self-sustaining,
Oh, yes. Yeah. Heals
but
itself.
we've lost that. Somehow we've lost that over time.
Yeah.
But we can all work on ourselves. It's just we don't know that. We
Yep.
need that shift that says,
Yeah. We need that
oh,
understanding, don't we? Yeah. We need to get it
yeah,
first. Mhm.
yes. And I think courses are really important because they help us make those steps to
Yeah.
get back to the knowing. You know, believing isn't enough. You have to have the experiences that bring it into your insides so that you know, oh, I
Yeah,
know
that's what
something happened there.
cements it, right? Cements that knowing. Yeah, because you've actually
Yeah.
experienced it yourself. You can't, you can understand other people's experiences, but you can't accept it as your truth because you haven't experienced it yourself. Yeah.
So I can't remember the denomination of the churches, but there were the churches that the monks would sing in, and the vibrations would create healing chambers. And so the people who would sit in the pews would be very quiet, and these monks would just do this chanting of these, Latin words, and the way they echoed created vibrational shifts in the people's bodies, and they'd walk out feeling so much better. That's all vibration and frequency. It's using the instrument of the throat to create the sound. We know from, this has not just been here on earth. I mean, well, it's all been on earth, but it's been different schools of thought, let's say, that have used the vibrations of sound and color. And we go into our closet every day and decide what we're going to wear. Do we really think that that's us doing that? Oh, I like that. I'm gonna wear that today. There's something inside of us telling us that. Same thing with food. When we pick food, you go into the produce section of the grocery store, and the colorful vegetables, you're like navigating through the produce, trying to decide what to buy. That's all coming through you. Your being, your soul, your connection to creator is assisting you and working with you. You're just not even aware of it. When you get goosebumps, like, oh, that gave me goosebumps all over my arms. That's the body recognizing
Big
that
thumbs
you
up,
will.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's a huge thumbs up. Pay attention to that. You are aligned with that. Those words are true for you.
Yeah.
So, but yes, I think the human body, we've stepped out of having a relationship with our body, and
Mhm.
we can talk to our organs and our glands and find out if they're okay or if they need something. We can find out what's going on with the body. There's different modalities that do that. You just go to the modality you gravitate to, because that's where your soul is saying, go here, do that, experience this. People go for Reiki, they go to receive, and they feel better getting up. And well, why is that you felt better? Something changed.
Something shifted.
Something
Yeah.
shifted.
Mhm.
And they have
Well,
that
that.
new EES, energetic something system, that Dr. Sandra Rose created, that you go and sit in a room, and there are these TV screens with all this color and stuff scrolling down, and there'll be up to 24 screens in a room, and you just lay there, and the vibrations go into the body and shift things in the body. So
Cool.
there's all kinds of new technologies out, the Healy, any of the vibrational biofeedback machines.
Mhm.
It's just fascinating. It's like a smorgasbord.
Well, definitely everything is vibrational. And here's probably a good example. I have a lady that comes to me for a massage very regularly, and she's a massage therapist herself, so she can't look after her own body in that way. So she comes to me, and I look after her muscles, and she'd been complaining for quite some time about pain in her kind of mid lower back, and I just felt guided to get my tuning forks out. So I would hit these tuning forks. I would, hold them in certain places, going up her spine, probably about 3/4 of her spine, actually, from a kind of, the lumbar, probably up the thoracic. And I probably spent a good 5, 10 minutes in different areas with different tuning forks. I just knew which one to put there. And she would say she would feel it really strongly there, which to me was, yes, you're at the right place with the right frequency. And she tells me that when I use these tuning forks on her, she doesn't have any bother with her back. But one time she came and we forgot to do them. And she says she was really feeling it, within a couple of days. So that just shows you it is working, it is functioning. And she had never experienced any kind of vibrational treatment like that at all. And she loved
Wow.
it. She loved it.
Yeah.
She says there's definitely something in it, because she's experienced it and now she
Yes.
knows about, the vibrational healing aspects.
Yeah.
So yeah,
There's
it's
so
all
many of those examples. It's
yeah.
amazing. I'm glad you mentioned the tuning forks because I was gonna say like just tuning forks and this crystal bowls and the old the brass singing bowls
Oh,
that
I've
the
got one of
monks
those.
use.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, the gongs. What is it? The didgeridoo? Whenever I hear a didgeridoo sounds like it's from the Aborigines of Australia to me. It has that kind of a vibration, and that vibration just goes into the body, and it just speaks to everything in your body.
Yes.
We are nano, so from the smallest particle to the largest aspect of who we truly are, we're all just little vibrating little energies, all of our organs just vibrating little organs, and they come together just like pixels on a computer. They come together to create a form, but they could just as easily unvibrate, and
Yeah.
so I I just think it's fascinating. It's really fascinating to me. I
It
think
is.
that people who come to energy healers or alternative holistic practitioners like acupuncture, chiropractics, all of that, it's usually because they've gone the mainstream and turned up empty-handed,
Mhm.
or been told there's nothing more that we can do for you.
That's what
And
I
then
find about my clients. Yeah.
as soon as that individual starts seeking for something else, you can rest assured their soul is guiding them.
Yeah.
Okay, good. We got you to let go of that ring on the playground. Now we're going to reach for the next ring, and they'll guide you to whatever you need, and it'll always be right and perfect for you.
Yeah.
That's the living in the now moment of allowing yourself to just go in the flow of things. But
Yes.
yes, it's a lot of fun, and I'm not sure what it is that makes people so afraid of it, other than just inexperience and innocence, not knowing and believing there's something wrong with doing that. You
Yeah.
know, you
Yeah,
know,
and I
st-
think
like
it's something that we've not been brought up with this type of work, so it's not common knowledge out there, and I think the lack of that knowledge is impacting, people's desire to try it, and it may be that they're because they don't know about it, it just doesn't fall into their knowledge. It doesn't come up on social media. They don't notice it because they're not interested and they've never actually been introduced to it in their life.
so an individual person, that person you're describing, has their own signature frequency.
Yeah.
And within the radio station, they can only access what's just a little bit above their frequency and
Yeah.
signature, and a little bit below their signature and frequency. They're missing everything on both opposite sides of those
Yes.
too. But when the person starts seeking, the dial starts to go up, and now they change and move their range. Now they get less of what's that lower frequency and the denser, realities, and more into the lighter, more higher vibratory frequencies and vibrations. And really, you have to keep moving up the best you can, with your consciousness and your intention and your seeking for greater than, that keeps dialing you up. And when you decide you're going to buy a car, let's say you decide you're going to buy a Volkswagen, all of a sudden, all you see on the road is Volkswagens.
Volkswagens. Yeah.
Whereas before you never saw Volkswagens, but because you're seeking it and you're focused and your awareness is pointed at that, it's like it's all brought into your reality.
Yeah.
That shows you that what's inside of you is creating what's outside of you.
Yes.
But
Very
people
true.
don't want to look at that. As the individuals that we are, being facilitators of this awareness and technologies, these technologies, you become your own master at, okay, here's a new opportunity that's come along for me. Why is this happening for me? So let me go and do a deep dive and start to figure out what is it within me that's creating this outside of me. If it's making me uncomfortable and I'm not enjoying this showing up in my reality, let me change the energy of it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's
Oh my goodness.
that could be a whole show in and of itself, just talking about like the subconscious level and
And let's do it.
versus
Why not? We can have another
yes.
show. Yeah, well, definitely. It's a date. We'll organize it really soon.
Okay.
But for now, I think we can wrap up. A great
It's been a
discussion. I
lot
mean,
of
I could
fun.
talk to you for hours about this. And the fact that we're getting this out there is exciting to me. I feel really quite fulfilled about doing this because I think for years I have been looking for a way of, getting my, I don't want to say opinion, my experience out there to
Yes.
possibly help others. And I know you want to do that as well. And I thought, well, why not? So can we do many more of these, please?
Oh, absolutely. I would love it. I would love it.
Okay,
I
well,
hope
let's
that
do
the
that.
walk away that people have is it's like going into a smorgasbord, try something new you've never tried before. Do a little research on it so that you're a little bit familiar with it, and then just go and have an experience. You never know. You might change your reality, might
Yes,
make
there you
you.
go. And we can have
So
some more
thank you.
fun. We can have some fun doing it as well. So if we've got anyone that's watching or listening and they've got any questions for us about anything that we've discovered or anything you want us to talk about, then I'll put the contact details below. And you can just reach out and we'd be happy to give you a mention and happy to discuss it on air, no problem whatsoever. But for now, Patricia, love you lots like jelly tots.
Oh, I do too. Thank you for having me.
And I will see you next time. So thank you for watching and thank you for listening. Take care now.
Goodbye, everyone.